Hello, welcome to the Monday Business News Report. We now start with our feature on the show today as reactions continue to trail the Central Bank of Nigeria's directive to deposit money banks and other financial institutions to close accounts of persons who are using their systems for cryptocurrency trading. Trading with Bitcoin, a cryptocurrency type, has also gained traction globally and in Nigeria lately, and most young people have been investing in the cryptocurrency world, buying and selling Bitcoin and also making profit for themselves. But the Apex Bank is clearly not a fan of digital currencies. According to emerging reports on why the Central Bank of Nigeria decided to ban cryptocurrency trading in the country, some posit that the federal government and the CBN were warned by the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation, that's the FBI, on activities of fraudsters using cryptocurrencies to bring into the country hundreds of millions of US dollars illegally obtained from the United States of America and other Western economies. This is also said to have particularly been targeted on COVID-19 stimulus packages designed to cushion the impact of lockdown measures on businesses and working families in these countries. In an interview just last week, Wednesday, President of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde, speaking on Bitcoin, said it's a highly speculative asset that has led to some reprehensible activity, including money laundering, and any loophole needs to be closed, and there has to be the need for regulation. This has to be applied and agreed upon at a global level, because if there is an escape, that escape will be used. Now, in order to avoid detection, there are some reports that fraudsters have been sending millions of dollars to Nigeria through cryptocurrencies. Now, this has made it difficult for authorities in both Nigeria and the United States to trace the illicit monies. However, before these funds are used to destabilize the Nigerian economy, the Central Bank of Nigeria had to wield the big stick. In the last 6 months, Nigeria is said to have become the second country in the world with the biggest cryptocurrency transaction. Remittances so far have ranged between $200 and $300 million made to Nigeria every week using cryptocurrency. And joining me now live via Skype, I have the Chief Executive Officer of Inspire Consulting, Jimmy Tower. Good to have you on the Breakfast Show today.
Good morning. Thank you.
Now, cryptocurrency is a virtual or digital currency that appreciates or depreciates on the whims of market forces. But now this ban, according to the Central Bank of Nigeria, is a reminder that cryptocurrency is not a legal tender in Nigeria, and it's also reiterating its position the bank has held so far since the year 2017. So this isn't a new imposition of restriction on the industry. What's your thought on the move by the CBN at this point in time?
Well, I think that, clearly it came as a shock to a lot of people, particularly people that are actually into it legally. Clearly, there's some back-end, transactions going on. And if you look at it from a macroeconomic point of view, you can't have $200 to $300 million coming in illegally, as it were, on a weekly basis and have stability in your economy. So the responsibility of the CBN is to ensure that there is stability in the economy and growth. And I think the only main challenge was, the suddenness. And of course, initially, you even said it's more of a speculation, getting information about the FBI and all that. I think there should have been some more official communication for people to understand the premise for it, and also not necessarily just shut it out totally, because in terms of use, cryptocurrency globally is growing. You have many global businesses that actually engage and look into crypto. I think it was just a few weeks ago that Elon Musk was even pushing Bitcoin and all that, So I think it's come to stay globally. Does it, give room for a lot of illegal activities? I think the answer is yes. Therefore, there's need more for understanding of that sector and then regulation so that the good players can actually, make something out of it.
What do you expect in terms of regulation? You just made mention of regulation now. What tweaks do you expect now in terms of re-injecting some level of sanity in the market?
Well, I'm sure that, of course, the feedback to the CBN is going to let them think through certain things. I think that they had to do that immediately because of the nature of the transactions, which are more fraudulent and all that. But I see that certain key stakeholders, who are, people that have been using the DMOs and all that, will probably be engaging them a bit more. So I expect to, gradually begin to see a bit of maybe a bit of a change from the CBN, but that would not be immediate. There has to be stakeholder engagement, begin to look at, the different, aspects to, this area. And then they begin to see, what areas can they begin to introduce regulations. I expect that to happen even from now.
And looking at also alternative investment plans, that's what everyone is looking out for, safe havens, if you may put it that way, because we already have a constricted market in terms of how much you can really garner at the end of the day from the Nigerian economy. But so many say that, well, it's now time to look beyond just the regular base that we have, your investment plans that you have ordinarily, and that's why we have the likes of cryptocurrency. But still, in the realm of emerging sectors of the economy, the role of technology and how transactions will play, what sort of interface now do you expect from dialogue, from regulation, policy framework? What sort of engagement do you expect us to have? Because if this isn't the first time the CBN is raising this red flag from 2017 till now, did we have to wait till we have these illicit funds come through before we raise the flag once again? The role of policy framework, regulation, how integral is this to ensuring that we have emerging sectors of the economy come to stay and also thrive, and then we can have some level of balance?
I think that, for me, the biggest thing, in as much as everybody is looking for alternative sources of investment, including cryptocurrency, I think that, particularly for us in Nigeria, looking at our trade balance, I think that it's very key that we begin to look at a lot more investment in the real sector, where the CBN, begins to, drive policies that encourage people to begin to look at those kind of investments. As it is today with the exchange rate and several other macroeconomic factors, people are looking for options that can, mitigate against the increasing inflation and many other things. So I expect that, really and truly with regards to cryptocurrency, what should happen is that key stakeholders, people that operated those transaction platforms should engage the CBN. I'm not sure whether the CBN is going to drive that conversation initially, but they should be able to. And I think the key issue is being able to decipher what are illicit funds from proper transactions, that people that actually utilize that platform for transference of, money, funds, legally, and they do business. So people go to China and all that, and then cryptocurrency is allowed. So the question is, how exactly do you begin to decipher that? I believe that conversations, with key stakeholders, will be able to drive that. And then the policy would definitely begin to drive from a better understanding of the dynamics around that space. I mean, we've seen many global, countries globally who are gradually beginning to look into that space. So I'm not sure that closing our minds entirely to this space is probably the right step. It might be just a stopgap for now. However, there has to be engagement of the stakeholders internally, externally, and then begin to create systems to be able to check the real issue, which is the illicit transactions. So for me,
are you optimistic that we'll see this engagement, this conversation move a little forward, especially dealers within cryptocurrencies? Do you think they'll be able to form a formidable force, or do you think, like you said, possibly the body language of the CBN is going to be one that is not receptive to any sort of conversation around this? It is said this is an illegal tender. So do you think by any chance those who deal in cryptocurrencies at this point in time can still push any meaningful conversation with government or the CBN?
I believe that. And again, it has a lot to do, you said it, pushing, from the side of those who are the dealers. Basically, it's their responsibility. CBN right now is trying to protect, the interest of the nation, and that is their stance. That's the premise for their decision. People might question it and all that. However, I think that the responsibility in terms of driving the speed of engagement has a lot to do with those who are at the forefront doing things legally. So will that happen? I think that cryptocurrency generally across the globe is come to stay. Will the current, our CBN, will they, change? Possibly, most likely. When that will happen, I can't really say. A lot has to do with the engagement, particularly driven from those who are the key drivers from the cryptocurrency side.
And wrapping up our conversation now, let's now talk about the role of profiling as well. When we look at the likes of taxi services as well, the likes of Uber and Bolt and much more, the issue of profiling has always been a challenge. Now, once again, going back to emerging sectors of the economy, technology is moving at a faster pace. We have new sectors of the economy emerging. How do you think we ought to work with big data, have the profiles of individuals who are playing within that space, have those numbers. The traditional sectors of the economy, we barely even have the figures as to how many farmers we have in Nigeria, how many engineers we have here in this association, all that. Now again, with emerging economies and emerging sectors, how do you think we can work with profiling and big data to ensure that we have all of the details of all of these transacting in that space?
I believe you have touched on one of the real key issues, and that is the lack of that proper database for even most Nigerians and all that. Right now, I mean, we're all pushing for the NIN registration, and of course, the appropriate government agencies are doing what they need to do. But the truth about it is that once you go digital, then it's proper. It's very important that you have a proper digital profiling for every single person. It's because we don't have that, and that a lot of these illegal and illicit funds come in. So from a government perspective, without a doubt, going beyond the BVN, going beyond the NIN, I think digitization is very critical, and the speed to which we're able to determine where we're now able to properly profile people on any of these alternative, platforms. So a lot is dependent on the current, state of digitization in terms of registration of every single Nigerian across the country. I don't know how fast that is going. I know that we're hearing a lot of things about NIN and all that, but until that is properly sorted, a lot more parts where we are able to have, a lot more development. People want to invest, for example, in these emerging sectors. But again, who am I dealing with? Who am I going to be relating with? Those things have to be put in place. So I believe that with that put in place, there'll be a lot more confidence for people, foreign and local investors, to begin to think about how to invest. And so that's the responsibility of the government as of now.
Most definitely. The role of regulation and then profiling is definitely sacrosanct to ensuring that we have safer spaces to transact and have investment plans that are sustainable. Thank you very much for your time on the Breakfast Show today, Jimmy Tawa. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you.